Takadosh Boker or Bekiim Bahalacha. This is 5. This is Hechal ben HaMetzarim, which is going to be day 11. So we are still in the middle of the preface over here, talking about dancing and music during the 3 weeks. So we're talking about now maintaining standards of modesty at dances. This is very important halacha. Listen very, very carefully, because some people, they don't, they think that they could always be around. You know how it is. They'll come and they'll say, no, I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But you have to have modesty at dancing. So it says like this: it must be made clear that dancing is permitted only if the Torah standard of modesty and sanctity is maintained. This means that the men dance by themselves and the women dance by themselves. It is forbidden at any time of the year for men and women to dance together. The Rambam ruled that the rabbinical leaders of each community must appoint officers to stand guard during the festivals in the parks and gardens to make sure the men and women do not mingle and sin. If they mingle, if they may not mingle, they certainly may not dance together. Meaning, if you're going to tell me right now that they can't even mingle together, so therefore all the more so they can't start coming and dancing together.
Can I ask you a question? Talking about Bain,
One second. So now he comes and he says like this: Harav Yosef Steinhardt wrote, "I was overcome with trembling to learn the terrible travesty that has been committed in our community. Men and women and teenagers of both sexes dance together. Woe unto their souls! They have dealt themselves a fatal blow." Right? What he says over here like this: flagrantly disregarding a serious Torah prohibition in public. The Torah has girded itself in sackcloth in mourning over them. In our times, all unmarried girls have the status of an idah.
Where are you reading from?
I'm in the middle of the introduction of the preface. So he says they all have a status of nidah since they did not begin visiting the mikveh until their weddings. When they dance together, they hold and embrace one another, violating the Torah's command: do not have contact with any woman who's a nidah. This is the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch. The prohibition of physical contact with a woman who's a nidah applies equally to married and unmarried women. Those who violate this halakha are destined to be punished in Gehinam. In Gehinah. Right? As the Talmud specifically states in Masechet Sotah 4b. When I heard that these people had scheduled a public dance evening, I protested with all my strength, and I demanded they immediately cancel the event. In response, they complained to the mayor, who then summoned me to his office. When I arrived there, he greeted me very courteously and asked me why was I being so strict about the affair. I explained to him this behavior was against the Torah, and I cited proof from the verses of the Torah in itself. He examined my proofs, and he decided that I was correct. After praising the righteousness of our religion, he ordered that the event be canceled as I had requested. Wow, did you see what just happened? They went to the mayor of the city complaining, the look of this rabbi, the rabbi stopping them from doing mixed events. And the mayor called him in, he went in, he proved it to the mayor, and then the mayor himself canceled the event. Incredible. Rabbi Yonatan Eibeshitz, Rabbi Chaim Falachi, likewise wrote strongly against the sinful behavior. All these discussions are brought down in the Stechemet, and the matter is discussed in the Mishnah Brura and other Achronim. See more in the Yabia Omer, right? In the response to Yechavedat. The above discussion above about men and women dancing is a bridge from a letter written by Marin Rishon LeZion to Rabbi Yitzchak Dweck of Deal, New Jersey. Now we're starting halacha number Lamed Hey. Asur la'asot rekudim umecholo b'mei Netzarim. You're not allowed to have any dances during Ben HaMetzarim, which is between Yud Zayim Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, between the 17th of Tammuz and 9th of Av. Afilu b'li negina, even without music. You can't do dancing. But this is only the dances which go according to the halacha. Men by themselves and women by themselves, and a mechitza in between them. He says, but mixed dancing, men and women, or asurim behechlet bechol yemot hashana kula, are always prohibited, all year round. Yeah? Afra lefume did, like mamash, there are certain people that there's so much that they want, they're krum, they're crooked. So they want to come and do so many mixed events and mixed things, and they want to, Yavin. Right? There's certain people that they come, they want to do all these things which are mixed, and they want to do all these things, and then they tell you, no, but this is a generation, this is what you have to do. And it's mamash isur midoraita. They're over on isurim doraita, and they're machshil et arabim, machti et arabim. These anashim. Halacha number lamed vav 36. אף על פי שמותר מעיקר הדין לשמוע בשנים אותו שנה דרך הרדיו, ולהשם כל שירי קודש המלווים בכלי נגינה מכל מקום ימים מנצלים לשבילם לשלומם. Even though it's mutard, מעיקר הדין, according to the letter of the law, to listen during the rest of the year through to the radio or all these things like, like different recorded musics, right? He says, nevertheless, during Minam Sadim, you should not do so. Meaning during the 3 weeks, you don't listen to music, even if it's going to be recorded and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, in a Simchat Mitzvah, for example, Simcha Chatav Kala, Milah, Pidyon Ben, Siyum Masechet, Mutar Lishma, you're allowed to listen Shirei Kodesh Amlavim Kodesh, because as long as it's going to be a Simcha Shel Mitzvah, it's mutar. If you remember, we said that you're allowed to get married until Rosh Chodesh Av, according to the Sfaradim. So therefore, that's what he said. Anything to do with the wedding, Brit Milah, Pidyon Ben, all these things is going to be permitted. Okay? So he says over here, Ashkenazim, they have a minhag to be machmir, not to listen to music in any Suda Mitzvah during this time of the Beir Mitzvahim. Right? The halacha lamed zayin. V'chem mutar lashmiya shirim. Iklinim Suda bar mitzvah. You're allowed to do it on a bar mitzvah if it's going to be bayom, bo bayom. Aval im makdimim u'machrim mitzvahim. If you're going to do it a few days before, afterwards, then you should not do it, because basically the only time when it's really a mitzvah is when it's going to be 100% bo bayom. You understand? When it's going to be 100%. Okay. Next, Suda. שעושים בלילה שלפני המילה. We're talking about Brit Yitzchak. Remember that the night before the Brit Milah, right? They come and they do what's called the Brit Yitzchak. שעושים לימוד Brit Yitzchak. יש שיחשבו לסעודה מצווה. Some people say it's סעודה מצווה. And therefore they're making that you could have music even during Minam Tzarim. And הרבה poskim wrote down that it's not a סעודה מצווה, and therefore you should not listen to music.
Do this? I never heard.
Yeah, we do it every time, all the time.
Ashkenazim don't do it.
No, Ashkenazim do Shalom Zachar, which is Friday night always. But we do the night before, right? And lalacha, one second. Lalacha, en la'atil lashmiya b'seuda zu kli negina ki shira b'peh. Right? You should only do things which is going to be music with the mouth, but not mamash music with instruments or with anything else. Okay, lametet shira b'peh, meaning when you're singing with your mouth, you're saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu without musical instruments. It's always going to be mutar, even during these days. Kolshken, you're allowed to listen to beautiful songs during the tefillah or when you're learning Torah. And Kolshken and Shabbatot in between, you should not be machmir at all. And even the Shabbat, which at Tisha B'Av actually falls on that Shabbat. Okay, the last halacha, Misha Sovel, Mitzvut V'dikaon, somebody that's got depression. Right, but nowadays there's a lot of people that they have just depression. Right, it's something incredible because they don't find simcha in their lifetime. So since they don't find simcha all the time, they're looking for things, and therefore they're always depressed.
They may not be married.
Yeah? No, but okay, it could be. They're saying there's many things. A person has to, some people they're married, they have children, they have parnasa, they have everything, and they're still depressed.
Gotcha.
You understand? Which means that at the end of the day, right, a person has to understand that if they're learning Torah Kedusha, the Torah always brings simcha to a human being. Right? They don't have to start looking at, for Kabbalah or all these other things. Right? When you're learning, mamash, the Torah brings simchat ha'chaim. Right? Why? That's just the way of the Torah. So he says, Misha sovel mitzvut v'dikaon. Somebody mamash, she's suffering from depression, anxiety. Right? Yesh la'akel, you could be mekel to tell him to listen to music during the 3 weeks. V'chen yesh la'akel leisha. שרה לבדה בביתה לשמוע נגינות כשהמטרה היא להפיק בדידות ובחדים והכל לפי מה שהוא אדם. Or for example, if a woman's by herself and she's all afraid, and it's bearing heavily down upon her, so she should be permitted also to instill some life in her, right, in the house. So that's also, but again, it's going to be on an individual basis. It's not going to be like on whatever it is. You understand? I mean, you have to actually pay attention, right, to what's going on, because again, once they're going to be in anxiety or depression or all that, you have to be very, very careful. Look in 77, he comes and he says, this halacha is taken from the Alichot Shlomo Rishon Zamin Arbach. We asked him at Nishon Letzion about his opinion on this, right? And then he says, and he agreed that it is possible to follow this leniency. He agreed that we find a similar ruling in his response to Yad Yitzchak. The final comment in this halacha means that before someone takes advantage of this leniency, he must make an honest evaluation of himself, decide whether he really suffers from depression and needs the music to calm down his nerves, or simply is using it as an excuse to enjoy listening to music. Rav Shimon Greenfield, he actually wrote in his response that while it may be a great mitzvah for a depressed person to listen to music, it can obviously be forbidden for someone else. Meaning, when it's a mitzvah, it's 100% permitted, and that's what he should do. But sometimes, if not, it's an avirah, and a person has to be careful not to do it. You understand? So a person has to be careful in what they're doing.